Humans, by nature, are individuals who yearn for respect and justice for themselves. As much as one can be egocentric or selfless, they will always want equality and stability in all aspects. Movements, protests, and dialogues have been conducted to curb this prevalent global phenomenon, which many are still complacent about. Little that we know, the solution to this problem is right under our noses. The United Nations have set forth 17 goals in the hopes to achieve sustainability for all. Amongst these goals is the goal to reduce inequality. And with that, we shall now conduct our presentation entitled Everyone Should Have the Same Opportunities in All Aspects, Regardless of Gender.
My name is Nur Fatima, and with me today, my partner Siti Nur Wahida, and we shall dissect the topic whilst discussing the reasons behind the significance of implementing gender equality. First of all, we shall dive deeper into what gender equality is about and how it has been a problem throughout the years, followed by our thesis statement, main points, the concluding statement, and the Islamic perspective on this issue. At the 2018 International Women's Day observance in New York, Antonio Guterres expressed his strong opinions regarding women's emancipation and how women have contributed and evolved in numerous industries such as education, sports, labor, and fashion.
Everywhere, women are saying the time is now. Time for equality and opportunity, respect and equal representation. Time for an end to violence.
However, why are we seeing gender disparity still? Well, it is indeed difficult or impossible to satisfy the hearts of many, what more the whole world. Which brings us to what has been hindering complete gender equality for all. The reasons for inequality are many, mainly the superiority or inferiority complex between men and women, cultural and traditional beliefs whereby a particular gender is deemed more valuable to the society, the massive differences in gender competencies, especially in workplaces, and the prevalence of misogyny across some cultures. Although we do not deny that misandry does exist, the hatred towards women, however, is widespread. However, people chose power and control over justice. We choose to be competitive, superior, possibly egoistic, and arrogant because we are afraid of being dominated over. Little did we know that the irony here is that gender equality will benefit both parties. With proper education, both parties are willing to understand each other's capabilities and differences. In that case, we can sort things out in a more peaceful manner rather than having the choice to fight for our rights. And with that, we believe that gender equality is undeniably necessary and should be implemented in all aspects as it provides a safer and healthier community, and it promotes economic prosperity while upholding it as a basic human right.
Gender equality promotes safer and healthier communities. There are a lot of gender disparity that happens in our community in every country all around the world. Some of them are the gender bias that occur at the workplace, sexual harassment, and ineffective law regarding innocent women's rights, etc. This kind of issues become critical day by day in every country. Even we are living in the modern era, the stereotypes involving gender strongly still tap rooting in our society's mind. Why gender equality is very important? It is very important to enhance the safer and healthier communities involving both sides, men and women. For the clear example, the gender bias at the workplace is known as a popular issue that often happens in the working environment due to the limited energy, lack expertise, family commitment, making women perform the lack of quality in their job, and some of them perform the declining reputation. This situation easily attract the bosses or management unit to make a blind conclusion and choose to not take any women holding the important position in the company due to their stereotypes toward those women who cannot contribute well for their job and encourage men as their trusted employees to help them lead the company. As the proof, even in the United States, a developed country with a lot of freedom of many rights, there are a lot of gender bias at the workplace. Women who advance into the chief jobs in companies typically take the roles such as head of human resources or administration, even though all of these roles as extreme important position, but the line of work they focus on doesn't involve profit generating responsibilities, which rarely make them a path to running a company. At the CEO level, men outnumber women by approximately 17 to 1. According to a study that explored the gender gap in the United States companies, the number of male executive officers is 7 times higher than the number of women holding the same positions. And 59% of male employees aspire to become CEOs versus 40% of women, and then 77% of women say the biggest obstacle gender equity at the workplace is the lack of information on how to advance themselves, how to become better, because the men do not really give a chance to make them grow in the company or industry. Secondly, the gender equality is important to eliminate the sexual harassment in our society. Nowadays, the harassment not only faced by women, it is also faced by men, but the societies do not see this. And the rules and the law only focus on women's welfare and rights. In fact, not only females being threatened by sexual harassment circumstances, males are also have highly chances. In India, a sexual harassment case involving an entrepreneur in Mumbai named Vijay Nair went viral when he was sexually harassed online by cyber stalker that later being exposed and actually was his acquaintance, a female. This clearly shows that the law determine the welfare of women only, and lack for men allow those harassment happen to men too. This is part of gender inequality. Thirdly, gender equality is important to promote safer and healthier communities by rearrange the law regarding innocent women's rights. In this world, everything is already stated in the law, how the action will be related to the rules of law, but there are some of situations that make the law treat the human injustly. For example, when women are not allowed to take any action of abortion in Korea, it is good. Actually, it is good for the harmony of the humanity regarding the newborn lives and the safety of women themselves. But how about the women who are faced the sexual issues, being raped and pregnant without their willing? It is unfair for them to face the embarrassment of illegal pregnancy in Korea, making people in her environment underestimate her and her family. This can lead to depression, anxiety, and especially suicide. That is why it is very important for the law to reinvestigate the rules and make the justice for women who are pregnant because of being raped, and excluded them by such rules and allow them to choose their own decision of the pregnancy to make their life better in the future. This also becomes the gender issues when women are burdened by the man action and by the law restriction. And of course, for some religion who also do not allow the abortion happen, they can make their own law, or government can help them by build some agency that help to look after the women who are pregnant illegally, to look after their baby welfare. This is important to make sure the gender welfare, especially for women who are burdened with such issue by being raped and pregnant. What government can do to overcome the disparity? The government has the authorities to reshuffle the system and practices in the country to uplevel the rights of women in the country. The government should spread the awareness and give enough support to any government and non-government campaign in order to stand up for women's rights by financial support or authority support to those associations, or the laws to prioritize the position of women in all aspects. For example, we can learn from the action of Ministry of Health of Swaziland, who mentioned the practice of seeking the authorization of the spouse is opposing the professionalism of the health workers. This means even in all aspects, including at the workplace, the gender bias must not be practiced, and even when a husband wants his wife to become the manager because of she is his wife and she is a woman that he trusts to lead the company without giving the chances to other women to show their credibility at the workplace. This is clearly show that the bosses become unfair to their own workers by choosing those individuals, even if they choose the women, but because of they are their relative. If not their relative, they won't choose that women, and probably they will choose the men that they trust the most. Besides, the government should also investigate the real cases that happen in the country to find solutions that are effective for both sides, men and women. The government should find out the root cause of all the gender inequality issues that still occur nowadays to provide healthier and safer community. For instance, like the government of the United Kingdom that did the consultation to find the real issues and cases faced by their citizens, and the data and statistics in the study definitely will help the government to find a better solution to overcome the issue. Gender equality is important for economic prosperity. When we talk about the economic growth and strategy, the important part of who are involved in those strategy of economy mostly and predominantly are men. Started from the bottom of job position until the CEO parts, especially in the professional fields like medical, the hospital management, marketing managers, financial, banking, corporate field, the law field, the education top authorities, sports top management, etc. Every part of economic field are full with men holding the best and important position. It is very hard to witness a woman to hold a main roles in huge association or companies automatically create a point of view in our society that women are never suit such high position, as it already became the tradition of the working system and make it look impossible to break the norm. But in fact, nowadays there are a lot of female skilled workforce that are increasing, and the number of skilled men force it slowly declines due to the number of women in this country that increasing greatly. So there is no point to stick the system with the old tradition where only men can hold the important position of company or association, regarding the fact that women started to conquer every expertise of economic sectors. So the government should strengthen the females' roles in the proficiency fields like healthcare, financial, etc., regarding the fact that a country will depend on the women to lead the future. The awareness must be enhanced, the stereotypes must be eliminated, and the gender equality must be enforced.
Humans have set forth to place equality as a basic, fundamental human right that everyone should be entitled to. This, by far, is and should be deemed as the most important reason why gender parity should be implemented. Tell me, on what basis would one declare something a human right? Laws are legislated prior to disasters and accidents. Similarly, a right is documented in a declaration due to past events which manifested danger to mankind as a whole. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was established after the atrocities of World War II, which was deemed as one of the most infamous historical events where mankind faced discrimination of races. It was then decided by the United Nations to establish an international law pertaining to the implementation and protection of human rights. It wasn't easy for the countries in the UN to agree on a set of rights, due to cultural relativism and state sovereignty. However, the idea of having to craft a declaration with human rights on it clearly manifests the vitality of having equal rights for all. Such agreements have motivated other declarations to be formed, such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and the involvement of non-governmental organizations in the play, such as Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and the Red Cross.
Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere. Without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world.
To conclude, every human being is entitled to equal treatment, regardless of gender. It ensures the safety and health, security of the nation, and enhances and flourishes the economy besides enforcing it as a basic human right. Islam, on the other hand, emphasizes equality too, just like all of us. However, we would like to note that here, Islam actually prioritizes justice over equality. This means that Islam will give up the rights to those who need it more. Next, Islam also prioritizes individuals with expertise and roles to each of their own. Like what we have said earlier, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. We cannot distribute roles or delegating of jobs equally, and it seems that we are trying to put everybody on the same level. However, that is not the case. Next thing is that Islam promotes is that humans are weak. We cannot do everything at once. Even though we strive to do everything at once, such as we can see nowadays feminism, and everyone wants to be on the same level. This is absurd, and nobody can actually do everything at one shot. So how do we want to resolve or curb gender inequality? I think gender inequality stems from lack of education. Because with education, ignorance will be abolished. So first of all, we would like to suggest that the government will implement education regarding both genders or sexes, and with that we'll be able to know the strengths, weaknesses, and capabilities of both genders, so that we could delegate tasks evenly and even better. Secondly, community involvement in establishing or enforcing equal treatment for all. The community plays a huge role in establishing a set of ideal treatment for all. If an individual doesn't like something, it is he or she is involved in a community, and if the community is far from whatever they wanted to achieve as a whole, it will be impossible for them to achieve because they are not working together. And if the community doesn't want to accept changes, that will be difficult and tremendously hard for everybody to move on. For example, we are talking about gender discriminations and stereotypes. For example, if we see a female preschool teacher working there, we would be saying, oh, she is alright. However, what about when we see a male preschool teacher? What would you guys think? You would start to think, oh, they would probably abuse my child or whatsoever. That is where the stereotype comes in. In order to abolish these stereotypes and in order to enhance and reinforce gender parity, we should abolish this and we should educate the society that no, both genders are capable of doing such. Third, family members' exposures to both genders' competencies and capabilities. It is up to the families, to the individuals and family members to delegate tasks equally and evenly and to educate the family members in a way that each of them will understand and know and be aware of each other's capabilities. Which is why families are important in building a community, and community is important in building a nation. And with that, we would like to conclude with one of the verse from Surah Al-Imran, verse 36. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and the male is not like the female. وبالله توفيق وهداية والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.